Yeah, there's some churches out there that are ordaining women as pastors, and I'm not saying that those women are insincere and they're not genuine, but I just wanted to ask this question and actually look at what the Holy Scriptures say about who a pastor is and what kind of person a pastor should be. So the question is, can a woman be a pastor or an elder? Excuse me. Um, so a few years ago, I was chatting with just on and off with a cousin of mine, a female cousin of mine, um, and we were discussing this whole thing of female pastors, the ordination of female pastors, because she's in the SDA church, and I had left the nominal SDA church by that point. Because just bear in mind that you know the, a denomination is not a church, and a church can be even where two or three are gathered in God's name. So I'd left the nominal church, but I hadn't left God's church, and I still haven't left God's church. So anyway, we were. That's one of the things actually that I didn't like about the SDA church, that they were ordaining women as pastors when there's no such thing in the Holy Scriptures. So, but this particular cousin of mine is very pro women's ordination as pastors, and obviously probably doesn't have an issue with women being ordained as elders as well. So we were just chatting back and forth. Most of this was happening on WhatsApp, and one day she sent me a video in which the person who made the video was supporting the idea of having women pastors in quotes. In the video, which was shared on WhatsApp, it was said that we should not make an issue about women being pastors because the word pastor is not even in the Bible. And by the way, I was doing a bit of research. It was actually last night, day being the Sabbath, just yesterday night. I was doing a bit of research, just trying to prepare some notes for one of my talks. I wanted to record them on video, and I came across this article on Google that said that the word pastor doesn't appear in the Bible. So I was like, who's writing this stuff, and which Bible are they talking about? Because in my Bible, the King James version, it talks about pastors many times, especially in the book of Jeremiah. So anyway, yeah. So this video that my cousin sent to me was saying that the word pastor is not even in the Bible, and that we should not make an issue about it. We should not make an issue about women being ordained as pastors because of that reason. So obviously, I sent my cousin lots of texts, Bible texts, showing her that the word pastor or pastors is in the Holy Scriptures, mentioned several times. So this showed me that she did not read her Bible. She just came across this. I think it was a YouTube short where this idea was being promoted, that we shouldn't make an issue about women being pastors because the word is not even in God's word. So I obviously sent her several texts which talk about pastors, and I'm going to read some of them here. So the first one I want to read is Jeremiah 2 verse 8. The priests said not, where is the Lord? And they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal and walked after things that do not profit. So right there, the word pastors is in there. Next one is Jeremiah 3:15, and I'll give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Jeremiah 10:21, for the pastors have become brutish and have not sought the Lord, therefore they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. Jeremiah 12 verse 10, many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. Jeremiah 17:16, as for me, I have not hastened from being a pastor to follow thee. This is Jeremiah speaking. Obviously, Jeremiah was a pastor and Jeremiah was a man. Neither have I desired the woeful day. Thou knowest that which came out of my lips was right before thee. Jeremiah 22:22, that's an easy one to remember when it comes to the issue of pastors. The wind shall eat up all thy pastors, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shalt thou be ashamed and confounded for all thy wickedness. So, in case you missed it, the word pastors is there again. The wind shall eat up all their pastors. Jeremiah 23 verse 2, therefore shall the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. So let me read that again. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith the Lord. Then there's the one from Ephesians here, Ephesians 4:11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers. So there you go. Apparently the word pastors or pastor is not in the Holy Scriptures. That just shows you that those who are promoting this idea don't even read their own Bibles. So here's another one. Doesn't necessarily mention pastors, but it talks about bishops, and it tells us what kind of qualities or character traits a bishop should have. Now, bearing in mind that a bishop is pretty much similar to a pastor. Okay, it's a church leader. Titus 1 verse 6 and 7. If any be blameless, the husband of one wife, the husband of one wife, that's a man, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly. For a bishop must be blameless as the steward of God, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, someone who doesn't drink, no striker, someone who's not violent, not given to filthy lucre or lucre. And speaking of Jesus, 1 Peter 2 verse 25 says, for ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls. And that's talking about Jesus. Jesus is our bishop and our shepherd as well. So this is me speaking now. A denomination that has women as pastors and elders is one that is showing signs that it's in apostasy. What usually follows women pastors and homosexual pastors. The same excuses that have been used to have women pastors, such as equal rights, are going to be the same excuses that are used to ordain homosexual pastors, because the ultimate aim is to change all Protestant churches into the image of the Roman Catholic Church, which has nuns. So these so-called women pastors and women elders, basically they are like the nuns, you know what I mean? Because in the Catholic Church they have nuns, so that's what they want to do to the Protestant churches. And there are no nuns in the Bible. Yeah, look, you can even do a search for nuns in the Holy Scriptures. There's nothing like that. Eventually, it will be said that even pedophilia is acceptable because it is a sexual orientation, and some of that is already beginning to happen. What they're doing is they sometimes don't use the word pedophile when they are talking about those who are attracted to children. They'll say minor attracted person map or minor attracted persons maps, referring to pedophiles. So 1 Timothy 2:11 and 12 says, let the women learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. So the reason why Paul actually said that women should be silent in church, those specific churches, was because those women were trying to take over the church, just like what's happening in these churches where they have women, so-called women pastors and women elders. And you find that a lot of these women actually end up usurping the authority of men in the church. That actually happens. You have grown men who are being told what to do by women in church. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 34 and 35. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also with the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. Now, the reason why Paul wrote that, he was not saying that all the churches in the world should not allow women to speak. He was talking about those specific churches that he wrote these epistles to, especially here it's the epistle to the Corinthians. The women there were trying to take over the churches, like I said, like what's happening in the churches today. This verse, so I've kind of explained this already. So now I'm not saying this to be offensive. What I'm going to say next is not being said to be offensive, but what I want to say is this is actually maybe happening without these women who are saying that they are pastors and they are elders. Maybe they don't actually realize what they're actually doing. These women have the same spirit that Lucifer had in heaven when he tried to take God's position by force. They do not even care how other members of the church feel who do not agree with what they are doing, but they are only concerned about having a high position in church. They do not understand that a Christian does not need a position in church in order to do God's work. You can do God's work any time of the week. You don't have to wait till you go to church on Sabbath or on Sunday, for those who go to church on Sunday, to do God's work. We're actually supposed to do God's work every day of the week, especially during the week. If you work wherever you work, where you rub shoulders with your colleagues, that you come into contact with during the week, you're supposed to be praying for God to give you an opportunity to be a witness to them. We should be sharing literature and pamphlets and sharing videos. Now we have so many apps that where we can share videos. We should be sharing videos with others so that they can accept Christ and give their life to Christ if they haven't already done so. But there seems to be this thing of waiting for, waiting to go to church first so that you can then, do God's work, in quotes. God's work should be done every day of the week. A Christian is not, being a Christian is not a part-time role. It's full-time. We should be doing that all the time. Yeah, and Christ gave us a commission, and that commission is to share the truth with others, not just on Sabbath or on Sunday. So something else I've noticed as well, maybe some have not noticed this, is that anything new that's coming into the churches now is from the devil. So we went through 1,500 years of Christianity without women pastors. And there was nothing wrong. The gospel spread far and wide. Obviously, that was before, maybe in some parts of the world, that was before Islam came along in the 600s and started fighting with the Christians. But yeah, Christianity has spread far and wide without the need for women pastors. So why do we need women pastors and women elders now all of a sudden? Something else I've noticed as well is that these so-called Bibles that are translated from Codex Vaticanus and Sinaiticus manuscripts, they were not there before the 1890s, and Christians did very well without them. But all of a sudden we have these new counterfeit Bibles, the Roman Catholic Bibles, by the way. So the question is, why do we need them now? All of these things are being done because of deception. We should always remember that the devil is fighting against God, and he does that through deception, and he gets his minions to go around, bringing up all these issues that destroy true Christianity. So yeah. And sometimes what happens is that even in churches, whether it's a Sunday church or a Sunday keeping church or a Sabbath keeping church, is that some of the members of these churches, they just stay because they think, if they leave that denomination, I won't even call it a church, because a church is where 2 or 3 are gathered, but some Christians stay in places where they can clearly see there is apostasy, because they think if they leave, they're going to be lost. But just remember, if you're in a situation like that, you can see apostasy happening. It's not necessarily just the issue of women's ordination as pastors or elders. Anything, whether it's homosexuality or the belief in the Trinity, that God is three, and is three gods, and any type of apostasy that you see happening in the denomination that you belong to. Don't stay there just because you think if you leave you're going to be lost, because straight away, if you start thinking like that, I'll just let you know right now that you're doing that because of you've been indoctrinated rather. You are behaving like that or thinking like that because they've indoctrinated you into thinking that if you leave you're going to be lost. But just remember that only God and his son Jesus Christ can save you. Don't stay in a place where there's clear apostasy against God's will or God's command. Find others who are like-minded and start your own group and start worshiping at home, because after all, that's what Christians used to do in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, I beg your pardon, they used to worship in homes, and I think I gave those texts already in one of my other videos where I spoke about what is a church. You can go and look at that video if you want. Yeah, don't be intimidated into staying in a denomination, even though you can see that there's apostasy, because what they're doing, one of the reasons why they're doing that to you is because they know that if you stay in that church, you're going to you know, you're going to give your tithe to them, you know, and if you leave, you're going to take your tithe with you. That's what they don't want. They don't want you to leave because they want your money, basically. But yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated by those who tell you that if you leave the denomination, you're going to be lost. Because even in the SDA church, that's actually happening as well. I know they use phrases such as, "Oh, the ship is going through, and if you leave the ship, you're going to be lost." That's nonsense. Jesus is my ship, and he's the only one that will carry me through till everything comes to an end on this earth. Yeah, don't be afraid, and don't be intimidated by anyone who tells you such stuff.